Gather around. It's time for the show to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, this is...
Hey everyone, my name is Jason.
Hi friends, it's Desiree Josen.
All right, there were so many matches this year that were just too much.
So this won't be a shocker because we've had a handful of really awesome matches that we just can't stop talking about.
How many times have these guys fought? Like it's been quite a bit.
I've been saying this all year. They're just so great to watch. We saw the heel turn coming, and then when it happened, nice and bloody, both dramatic and beautiful.
You are now entering the ring with Shoots and Ladders podcast. Here are your hosts, Desiree and Jason.
Shoots and Ladders, Money in the Bank countdown. What's going on, everyone? My name is Jason.
Friends, it's Desiree Josen.
All right, everyone knows this is one of my favorite PLEs of the year, and I've been waiting for this episode for a long time. I love the concept. I love the fact that this concept has spun off into its own PLE, and I also love the fact that we are about to embark on a fun journey. What is your IT, Des?
I mean, your excitement is infectious. I know you are so excited. This is one of your favorites. For me, it has to grow on me. There are some really great ones. There's some really good ones, but I'm so excited to see what our list is. So, yeah.
Sounds good. All right. And who's your number 5, Des?
It's actually, it's okay. It was last year's women's ladder match. Okay. And the reason why, it wasn't anything spectacular, but it was because I fell in love with Tiffany and Chelsea during this. I know we were pushing for Tiffany, but I just loved how Chelsea was so animated and became a star from that. And both of them now are incredible characters right now on SmackDown and Raw. So I just can't get enough. And I just, they had some really good spots, but it was just them two that I just really enjoyed. So, yeah.
Okay, and funny enough, of course, that is my number 5.
Really?
Yeah, it is. I thoroughly enjoyed it. What's really cool about this particular PLE, especially when they incorporate the women, is they really get to show how strong and how athletic and how flexible women are. Because they can be hard. Obviously, they're gorgeous women, but you know what? They can fly. They can take bumps. This is what makes it so much fun. And every single year, it gets better and better. So I think you picked a great choice.
Okay, I was kind of like, oh, this one is not a lot of people's favorites, but okay, I feel better.
All right, sounds good. Okay, cool. And who's your number 4?
It's going to be 2013's with Mr. Randy Orton winning. But the reason why is just because that group of guys, it was like a powerhouse roster, and every single one of them was already a world champion before. So we just didn't know who was actually going to win just because all of them were so favored. And that was Randy, who was it? Christian, RVD, Sheamus, Daniel Bryan. So anyone. And there was just like some really cool spots with RVD doing a frog splash that I remember. And then Randy RKO'd like RVD, and I think he was about to win, and they took him down, and then Randy ran up. But it was just that. It was just because those guys were just so hot, champions already. It was just phenomenal. So, yeah.
Okay. No, listen, that's a very solid choice. My number 4 is actually going to be 2016 when Dean Ambrose won.
All right.
And I just thought it was so cool that I thought the match was phenomenal, and that was his moment, And this is one of the coolest things about Money in the Bank is you don't know when that moment's going to come, but the fact that he was able to cash in and then capture his first ever world title, I just thought that was really brilliant. So I actually really, really like that one.
I love him too. So that's a good choice.
Thank you. All right, cool. Number 3, who you got?
2014. This one was more for the storytelling aspect behind it, just because that was right after the Shield broke up. So Seth and Dean were going at it in the ring, and there was a lot of heat. And then I know towards the end, everyone was projecting Dean to win. And that's when Kane came in and interfered and like choke slammed him and tombstoned Dean. And then Seth runs his happy ass up there and wins. But yeah, it was just all of that. And also too, what I liked is, I know with ladder matches, everyone does the slow climb and it drives me insane because I'm like, the point of this is to grab that briefcase and get up there as fast as you can, but you still take your time. But this one was actually when everyone was actually running up, like Dolph went up there in like 5 seconds. And it was just, I was like, thank you for being realistic in this kind of match. So yes, 2014.
Okay. I have a pretty interesting one at my number 3. But one of the things I love most about this, and this theme's going to continue later on, you're going to see, 2022 when Liv Morgan won.
Hey.
Right? Right? I just thought that was phenomenal. And remember, she cashed it in and beat Ronda Rousey. And so I just thought, again, listen, the crowd, part of what makes any match is when the crowd erupts. Money in the Bank specifically, especially if it's someone that you're not expecting to win. Mm-hmm. The crowd just really elevates the winner to new heights. I thought it was brilliant that they had her win. I loved it. I'm so glad that happened. And again, I'm sure this probably surprised you a little bit, but I love that match.
Well, and plus she won so quickly too. You weren't expecting that.
Absolutely, yeah. No, so I just loved it. A plus match for sure, and then A plus the fact that she actually cashed in. So I loved it. All right, nice. Number 2, who you got?
I've got the third Money in the Bank from 2007 WrestleMania 23. This is the one where Mr. Kennedy won. The winner, not so much I was excited about, but it was just the actual spots because like the Hardy Boys were in that. And when you put the Hardys with ladders, you cannot go wrong. So some really awesome spots there. And plus, Randy was in it too. And he like RKO'd Punk, I believe, off of a ladder. And I don't know. It was just them in it with Edge and just the leaps and the leg drops that I think Jeff did off of like the top of the it was just complete hardcore mess and I loved it. So we're gonna go with that one.
Okay. No, love it. Okay. And just to keep the tradition continue, I cheated, of course.
I know you did. I know.
But here's the thing. This is definitively number 2 because my 1 is definitively number 1. But for number 2, it's a tie. WrestleMania 21 and WrestleMania 24. So 21, Edge won it. That was the very first Money in the Bank match ever. Mm-hmm. And 2008 WrestleMania 24, which I was in attendance, CM Punk. So, yeah, both phenomenal matches. And the coolest thing is, again, this is what catapulted these two men. Because remember, keep in mind, that's when Edge won his first ever world title. And after that, he won a bunch of times. And then CM Punk, he was the Paul Heyman guy who's one day going to headline WrestleMania. Well, this is what started it. So, like, it was way too iconic. And, of course, I went there. I was at that Mania. So, and, again, it drew so much traction that creative said, this has to be a standalone PLE. So, both of these things really kind of ascended to new heights. But, and kind of like you said, Edge and a ladder, it just kind of makes sense. Yeah. And it just propelled so many guys. So that's why I had to cheat. And, I'm very proud of myself for doing so.
And that's okay. That's okay.
All right. Who is your number 1?
Well, you already said it. I'm going with the first Money in the Bank, 2005, the year I graduated high school. And it was the debut, and we had no idea what to expect. We're like, what is this concept? And we're familiar with TLC matches, but when you put Edge and Christian, Benoit, Kane, Jericho, and who was the other one? who was it? Was it Shelton Benjamin?
Shelton Benjamin, yeah.
Yeah. It's like you put some crazy guys together and I mean, like, hello, Edge and Christian on ladders, they're just dangerous.
Yeah, sign
and yes. And then the fact, I think there was a spot, I even made a note for it just to make sure I didn't forget it, but I remember seeing Kane like completely destroy Benoit's arm, and then he had to do everything one-armed and then climbing up the ladder, and it was just craziness. And I think one of the best ways to this kind of match. So I loved it, and Edge won, like you said. This catapulted him to be a champion and, you know, the ultimate opportunist to what he is. So fantastic.
I absolutely love it. All right. My number one should be no surprise to you at all. I'm a little disappointed you didn't have it on your list, but this is why we do this. My number one, not even close. And when I say head and shoulders, one of my favorite matches ever, 2011, when Daniel Bryan won.
Of course.
Because
I knew it.
Yeah, of course you did. I think everyone that listens or watches the podcast knew I was going to pick this. Because first off, that was the real underdog. I don't think anyone knew who was going to win. I specifically remember, you know how you can read articles and you can refresh them to see who's going to win, and they do it match by match. Mm-hmm. And the teaser was Money in the Bank has completed, huge surprise. And that was the headline. And wow, no one saw Daniel Bryan coming. And again, up until that point, he was a crowd favorite, but he didn't really necessarily have that much character or like charisma necessarily per se. But when he won, the crowd went wild. That was one of the hottest crowds of any wrestling event I've ever like seen. I wasn't even in attendance, but I heard the crowd there. Money in the Bank 2011 is, besides Mania, is one of the best pay-per-views I've ever seen, hands down, and that was in Chicago. So I still will YouTube it every once in a while. Like, and obviously the Cena CM Punk match is one of the coolest storylines they've come up in a long time. But yeah, I had no choice. 2011, Daniel Bryan. Talk about catapult a career. If it wasn't for him winning, he wouldn't be Daniel Bryan. So, yeah, I had so much.
No surprise there, but I can't agree. That crowd went insane. They were feral. So, but you know what? But that was always good because we always want an underdog to win, and he's a good guy, and he's a really good wrestler. So yes, I agree with you. That is a really good one.
Yeah, and just well, actually, what are your final thoughts? Because I definitely have mine.
I mean, like I said, it's not one of my favorites, but it's they're either really great or okay in my eyes. But I just love this specific match just because I feel like only certain wrestlers can get away with performing well in these. And, you know, the physicality behind it, the spots, and God, they come out bruised and broken in these. So it's just pure entertainment. And I love it. And I mean, I always want to go to like Home Depot and go get a ladder and run up them and just pretend. So I love it. I think it's fun.
I love that. Yeah, listen, my final response is, listen, this is a year-long storyline.
Yeah.
That's the one thing we all have to remember. Like, when they introduce this match, this is effectively a year-long storyline. That's an evergreen storyline. I mean, yeah, you have cash-ins the night of or whatever the case is, but not all of them. Like, you have people that will extend this. And one of the best WrestleMania moments ever came because of a cash-in, which happened from Money in the Bank. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about just everlasting storyline, and here's the thing, I want to bring another final thought because we mentioned Daniel Bryan. A lot of people felt, myself included, because I went to Survivor Series where he was the opening match, and the crowd went berserk, but he didn't have any type of character or charisma whatsoever. So creative would bury him every once in a while. It just didn't make any sense, but the crowd fought back to put him over. And when they had him win, I think you can call that an experiment if you want to, but it worked.
Yeah.
And this is why creative really needs to listen to the crowd, because the crowd ultimately dictates who should get put over and who shouldn't. So I love this concept like no other. I think it's brilliant, and I'm so glad that it's a standalone PLE.
And I love the idea that you did bring it up, that this is not a short-term kind of idea, because it can be. Look at those that immediately cashed in and won and did not win, which is embarrassing. But then also look at us. Look at the content that we had with our podcast through the year with Tiffany winning, because every major event we're like, is she going to cash in? And she kept us on our toes for months.
Yeah.
So I love that excitement of, you never know when it's going to happen, and when it happens, we're cheering.
So absolutely,
it's fun.
1000%. All right, well, what do you have to say? Please DM us at the Chutes and Ladders on your thoughts about Money in the Banks and the greatest ones. Also, please like, share, and subscribe both on YouTube and Spotify. Once again, my name is Jason.
I'm Desiree Josen.
All right, until next time, have a blessed day and a blessed week.
Bye, friends.
This has been Chutes and Ladders. Follow us for more content.